or to the cloud. What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. I'm in a good mood. Lee should be in a good mood. Neil should be in a decent mood. Gerrard should be in a bad mood. America's team, Leeds, and Jesse Marsch should be in a bad mood. Ronaldo's definitely in a bad mood. United's in a good mood. That could possibly be affected by Ronaldo's mood, and Martin Harris should definitely be in the worst mood, because after what Manchester United did to Spurs yesterday, we devoured them like an English breakfast. They were spread out on the table like Lunchables, and we just had our way. And we'll get into how Man United feasted. And we'll get into it. But I want to thank Neil for being here. Neil Chakravarty, stand-up comic and Chelsea fan. What's up, Neil?
All good. Let's talk about so many things seem to have happened just today.
Yeah. We'll try to get to them all in an hour. Thank you all for joining us. And Lee Hudson, stand-up comic, Southampton fan, coming to us from England, not the streets this time. It's at home. He made it. That train finally got you home?
No, it was a bus the other night.
Oh shit! I was like a late night bus like that.
It was despite the fact that it was Monday night, it was full of drunk people in London. It's just, but it was bad, because what I would normally do was I was getting the train back from Paris to London. I was then meant to get from the station that train goes to. I was meant to get the tube to where my car was parked. But the tube, we got back so late, the tube had stopped running. So I had to walk from the station to a place where I could get a bus to get back to where my car was parked and then drive home. It was fucking arduous.
Damn. What? So how long did the trip there take you total?
Back from
Yeah. The trip to Paris, how long did that take?
The trip there was pretty quick. I drove to London in an hour, and I got a train there for 2.5 hours. So 3.5 hours total. The way back, train got delayed by just over 2 hours. The train had to go slower, so it took 3.5 hours from the train. And then it took me an hour to get to my car, and then an hour to drive home. So a long time. A long time. But no, I'm enjoying coming to you from within the confines of, 4 walls and a roof today. It's a luxury.
I know, like podcasting as you walk through the streets of London is kind of weird. It's a weird vibe. Yeah. But it's good to see
some crackhead was screaming at me at one point as well. I tried to speed up.
Probably a Spurs fan. I'm trying to bring up one more thing. Let me see. Yeah. So you guys want to talk about United first, and then because it leads to Ronaldo, which is one of the stories of the day, and then we could get into the Gerrard and just your victory yesterday, Chelsea. I don't know if we have time to talk about Iran possibly getting kicked out of the World Cup, and Jesse Marsch, but I'll explain what I heard on that. So yesterday, Manchester United, it was going to be a tough game, supposed to be a tough game. This is the best start Spurs have had to a Premier League season ever, or maybe to a season ever. And, they got a name brand coach, Conte. People are saying, hey, United should have got it when we had the chance, and we didn't, and we screwed up. And they've had pretty good results. I think their only loss was to Arsenal, one of their bitter rivals. But before I even talk about our victory, I want to talk about the games that led up to it, like the ammonia, which everybody was, even though we won, was like shitting on the team. And then last week or a few days ago, we did the podcast. I wanted to talk about how our fans reacted to the 0-0 draw to Newcastle, where we dominated the game, we dominated the shots, we controlled the game. But I feel like you need games like that to lead to games like this, where you're learning the system, you're getting more comfortable. And then in the Spurs game, this is when everything becomes instinctual. You know, that moment when you have the breakthrough and it happens. So I just want the fans to like enjoy the process. I'm enjoying the process. Like, I get it. You're Man United. We're supposed to be at a certain level, but we're not. We're going to go on this new journey, and you got to enjoy it from the beginning. And yesterday's victory, I'm not even going to shit on Spurs, because if I shit on Spurs and tell you they were terrible, that takes away from how good we were. So that's why I started out with like all the Spurs credits the year so far. Like they're third. I think they still are third. That's how high up the table they are, because we beat them and they're still third. They didn't even drop a place. And we beat a third place team. We coached by Conte with Kane and Son, who, to be honest, I only saw Kane with like 3 or 4 moments in the first half, and then 1 moment right after we scored in the second half. Besides that, like we were so all over Spurs that they were wearing red jerseys. Like everything was covered. There was our press, our counter press, shots fired over the bow on goal. We just did the entire Ten Hag tutorial and played it to a hilt. And so the only thing people are saying, so everybody gave most of our players good player ratings, but then they gave Sancho a bad player rating. So let's just cover this. That's the part. You can't give Sancho a bad player rating, because I just watched and I was thinking this during the game. First of all, number one, he had an assist. If that goal is credited to Fred, then the assist goes to Sancho. So you did some of your job. Plus, he had some passes into the box, not crosses, but tight passes into the box that players either kind of fluffed their lines on the shot or didn't like completely. It was tight spaces, but he got the ball in there. Yeah, he didn't look like Anthony looked, but he was playing on the overload side. He played on the overload side of the pitch where most of Spurs defenders congregated. When he got the ball, there was like 3 men in front of him, which was kind of the plan. So everybody comes over, the entire Spurs defense, and then we try to switch back over to Anthony's side, where it's just him and Perisic and Dalot. And that's where the real attack is. So you can't blame the decoy for doing his job as a decoy. So so I just want everybody to kind of like, you got on Bruno and said he was having a bad game, and a bad season before this, they started like, they picked the stat that would make him look like he wasn't having a good season. They picked like how many assists and how many goals Bruno had. Like they started, like it was 400 and something minutes. But hey man, there's other stats like chances created, like passes, like, you know, like tackles or ball retention, which he did a lot of in the Newcastle game. Like in the Newcastle game, there were moments where his calm helped us keep the ball and pass out of dangerous situation. And he also does his defensive duties. And the same thing for Sancho. So it's like, just because somebody doesn't do anything in an attacking way, sometimes in a way that just as long as they do their job and they don't let the team down, because it's a complete team win. So I just want to, Sancho's going to have his good game. Everybody's going to have better games than the entire team at some point. And that's, to me, is the true spelling of what a team is. Like we're just, like, you want them to think, all right, this is the person we should focus on because that guy ain't doing that well. And then Fred pops up. And then you're like, Bruno ain't doing that well. We don't have to focus on him. And then Bruno pops up. And the next game, it'll be Sancho. The next game, it'll be, you know, Anthony, like twisting Perisic into a pretzel and getting around him. But that's just my overall philosophical take on the game. And if you guys want to dive in,
Yeah, I think Sancho's unfairly criticised. I agree with you on that one. Like, you know, it's all about providing balance to the team. Like, say, everyone can't be the superstar doing every game-changing thing at every different time. I think he caused them a problem. I think he had a good game. He was outshone by some of those other players, but it doesn't. That's not to say that you can't. It's not that you have to praise someone in order to run someone else down, kind of thing. It's like, yeah, they might have been playing 8 or 9 out of 10, but he was still a 7. Like, and that's not a bad performance. That's, you know,
he had an assist. Nobody mentions it.
Yeah, it's just silly, really. But I like the way you guys looked last night. I mean, I thought Casemiro and Fred seemed to have a little understanding. I don't know if that's come from playing for Brazil or just speaking the same language and whatnot. And Bruno in there, obviously, there's 3 Portuguese speakers in that midfield. But there seemed to be a nice little understanding developing there. So it was good to watch. I thought Spurs, for them, it's what they do in all the big games so far this season, where they just try and play like a small team in the cup, trying to cling on for their lives. And it's not a. I don't know why Conte thought that was a good tactic when it's not worked for them against other big teams. And I think you have to class United as a big team again, like with the quality you've got in your squad at the moment. You know, there's people in that have won Champions Leagues, that have won World Cups. So, you know, you need to give that squad the respect it deserves. And I don't know, not mean respect as in sitting back like Spurs did, but respect as in, like, you know, maybe you need to come up with a different game plan. This isn't a shit team that won't be able to break you down, and you can just hit them on the counter and beat them like they have with some of the other teams they played this season. So it's a bit poor. And then Conte came out and he said, like, in the big games they always suffer. It's like, well, you've done the same thing in all those big games. You know, you can't keep doing the same thing and expecting the same results, or expecting different results. Sorry, you're going to get the same results. And yeah, they play with no ambition. It was the same as the North London derby. They didn't show up. They sat back. They invited pressure from a team that were good enough to hurt them, which is, it's poor from Spurs. And I still think, the league position's false because they've got away with doing it against some of the poorer teams. I mean, whether or not what they're doing at the moment is good enough to get them Champions League in the end, I don't know, because, you know, Chelsea are looking more consistent under Potter, even though they didn't pick up the points the other night. Liverpool look like they're getting back on it. Obviously, Arsenal are strong. City will do their thing. United are putting results in the bag. So top 4 isn't guaranteed for Spurs anymore. You know, it's despite their current position, but I think it was a mixture of them getting the tactics wrong and also you guys being good. I think it was a mixture of those 2 things, because you still needed to go out and beat them. There are teams that haven't been able to break them down this season, but you showed that you were on a level where you can do that. And Anthony looks like he's adapted to the Premier League far quicker than I thought he would. He's looking a good buy. I'm not sure if he's quite worth the money yet, but he's getting there. Yeah, it's just solid game from you guys. Bruno's goal was a fucking delight as well. Just to improvise as that ball popped up and finish it the way he did was just classy. And yeah, it's just, like I say, good performance. So I'm sure you're pleased with that.
Yeah, and Fred needs to work on his finishing, even though he got that lucky deflection. Like,
that goal was lucky.
Shooting is awkward for him. Like, so if he's gonna, like, be sent forward like that and get in those positions, he has to work on his shooting every day. As soon as you wake up, go in front of a goal and work on your shooting. Because if that's the position you're going to be in all the time, people are going to get back on you like they did the game before. You know, but, you know, you redeemed yourself. You know, everybody was saying it, like I always say, like, Fred is everywhere, and he was every fucking where.
I think his passing's underrated as well. Like you say, his shooting could do a bit of work, but his passing's underrated, and having Casemiro in there gives him a bit of freedom. And you saw Casemiro went forward a couple of times as well, and then Fred would sit. They seem to have, like I say, quite a good understanding of if one goes, then they always need someone holding.
There's not as much panic anymore.
Yeah, I feel like his passing improved during the preseason, like his one touches, and even in the last game against people hated him in the last game because he had some shots that he didn't put away, or at least put on target, or at least make a decent effort. But like when we were like kind of buzzing around the Newcastle area, like he was like one touching it pass, not getting in trouble, not doing anything impressive, but to after that game get all that heat. Like he put Rashford in on a pass that would make any midfield genius proud. Like he did some moderate type pass. He put Rashford in one-on-one with Lloris, and Lloris saved it. And he had a few a header. He put a ball on. It's just a little bit behind Rashford, but that was pretty impressive. So kudos to Fred. What are you gonna say, Neil?
Just saying that nowadays when I'm watching that, it doesn't seem like that sense of panic has kind of gone away.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like that whole central defense, deep midfield area, anytime ball goes in there, there's not as much skill is one thing, but also communication used to be a big problem there. But now I think with obviously having Casemiro helps. Like I was saying the same, like when you guys lost to Man City, that I know it's probably a little too early for him, but his qualities in that part of the pitch it's probably one of the best in the Premier League. So and it helps players around him, like Fred I expect Fred to have a redemption arc at United just because he's getting to play alongside Casemiro more often. It's got nothing really to do with his quality changing overnight. But that's what players like Casemiro can do. They can make you look better than what you are. And on the other end of the spectrum was someone like Maguire, was making everybody else look worse than they are.
Who was making everyone look worse than they are?
Harry Maguire.
Oh, okay. Hilarious.
So, and Lee touched upon it. Like we've seen Conte and Spurs in these big games, and it frustrates me so much. Like when he comes in the press conference and says that we had to suffer, like he keeps repeating that as if it's something that happens in isolation and it's got nothing to do with his own management of a football game. Like, you had to suffer because that's the way you choose to play. Like it's in your hands. It's a choice you've made. It used to drive me nuts, even at Chelsea, that especially in that second season when we didn't have somebody like Diego Costa, we didn't have like Pedro was a year older. Hazard was injured, because the previous year we used to still not play that different, but we just had these killers up front who would make every small opportunity count. And I think he's expecting something similar from Kane and Son.
Right.
But you're probably not going to get that every game. You're definitely not going to get that when you're coming up against the best defenders in the league. And he came up against a very solid defense in United. Same versus Arsenal versus us. Like if you stick to that game plan, yes, you might be able to get a lot of 3 points versus lower opposition, but you are going to come unstuck more often than not against big teams. And which is fine, I guess. If top four is all that you need, maybe it's fine. You just keep getting these easy 3 points, and that secures top four for you.
Well, maybe if he gets one more, maybe it's like a longer game he's playing. Keep on collecting those points, get in the top four, and get one more summer transfer period to like get some attacking players in. But that's not how he plays anyway, right? Or maybe just get better players that can counter better. Like, maybe the players he bought during this transfer season were like stopgaps. I'm not sure if they're like his top desired players. He definitely improved the strength with the squad. But I don't know what Conte's thinking over there. I just know we play glorious football against them, and we'll invite them back.
And credit to Ten Hag, this is the guy who obviously had a baptism by fire at the beginning of the season, and he really had to. There's so many things happening. De Gea's
Say it.
form, like, just
Say
from
it.
back to front, De Gea, his form was wobbly. Your lone
Yes.
keeper, Dean Henderson, goes to Nottingham Forest and starts giving out interviews, pretty much slating the hierarchy and management at United, being the reason why he's not, he never got a chance. Then you have Harry Maguire as your centre back. I don't need to say much more about that. You have players who you spend good money on. Wan-Bissaka, who's not able to hold down the spot, and yeah, you didn't really have a lot of options when it comes to the right back role. And Varane has come in the last season with a lot of expectations on him. Didn't really have a great season. Center midfield, that whole McFred became like a meme. Like there's literally there's nothing happening in that part of the pitch to protect the defense. And then further forward, Sancho came in, big money signing, didn't have a good first season. Ronaldo, who is he? What level of player is he? Like that, is he?
Well, let's talk about
happy and unhappy. Yeah, exactly. So
let's talk about Ronaldo. So since we're here, if you were making 500,000 a week, would you have walked out? Like, so at first we saw him walk down the tunnel. We knew that was going to be trouble. That was not a good thing to do. But you don't do that. You just don't do it. Period. You're getting paid. You just don't do it. And I understand you're Ronaldo.
You don't get it if you're paid anything. Like, it doesn't have to be 500K. Like, even if you're paid, like if an academy player does it on 20K.
I'm just saying, if you're pissed, you just realize you're getting compensated to be pissed. So you sit your ass on the bench. So it's like, and I get it. Like in most of the games of United so far, Ten Hag puts Ronaldo in around like the 60th or the latest, like the 70th minute. And he might have been promised that. And then being told to get in the game with like a few minutes left and your Ronaldo is disrespectful. And he said it, so it turned out he said he wasn't going to go into the game.
Wait, was Ten Hag planning to sub him in at that point?
Apparently he refused to go on.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought he was just frustrated not being put on and then left.
Nah, you could at the beginning of the game they showed a shot of him and he did not look happy on the bench, right? And then towards that moment of the game, you see him walk down the tunnel, and here's the thing, like Ten Hag saying he didn't want to put Ronaldo in at the end of the Man City game because it's an insult to a legend.
That was the first red flag for me.
Right. But it's also an insult to a legend to try to put him in at the end, like a rookie at rookie time, like
Michy Batshuayi, basically.
Right. It's hilarious. But also, if you're a coach and your team is dominating the game and there's no need to make a sub in the area of the pitch where you promised the player this would be like I said, you're getting paid, and I know you're Ronaldo, but you got to take that shit. You got to celebrate the win, and you'll get in. We get injuries, but I always knew it was going to come to this. This was always going to happen. This was always going to happen.
I don't think,
and it happened. So it's just time to, even though we might still kind of need him, it's either time to like just end it. Just end it.
So I think Ronaldo needs to be careful here. Like he is at a stage where he's almost hurting his United legacy, which I know he won a lot at Real Madrid, but Real Madrid fans are so flaky and toxic that there is no love to be had. There's no legacy to be had there. It's just like you're in a contract. It's a very transactional relationship. But I think his real legacy, therefore, is with the United, at United, with the United fans, with Ferguson, with Rooney, and he's doing things that he will realize in future that he's actually actively hurting his own legacy, and he should be careful about that. But I also don't think like Ten Hag helped himself when he said after that City game that he didn't get uh, Ronaldo on because of he wanted respect. Like he's basically saying that this is a player that's gonna get special treatment, because if there's any other player in the squad, you would have probably got him on, right? So if you are literally putting it in black and white that somebody is gonna get special treatment, why won't he expect special treatment then?
But I don't think he's hiding it. That, like, listen, there's nobody in football believes that Ronaldo doesn't get special treatment from any. You could tell by the way, me and you were just discussing the Ballon d'Or and Benzema winning. And to keep a talent like that pacified because of another player, that's special treatment. Like, they pacified the way Benzema could have played all these years to suit Ronaldo. And everybody can see that now clearly. If you didn't see it before, based on the run that Benzema's gone on since Ronaldo's left. Like, this guy was even so anywhere he goes, ever since he's became Ronaldo, even when Bale was there, I saw when Bale had that moment where he could have been better than Ronaldo. And they were like, hey man, you gotta chill. This is where this goes through. And even in the Newcastle game, I found Anthony, like, he's like, Ronaldo's a lot of players' idol. And I found Anthony and Rash, whoever was on the field with him, trying to find him and play the way Real Madrid played with Ronaldo, as opposed to play the way Ten Hag wants the team to play. So it's not just Ten Hag giving him special treatment, like players on his team give him special
but that
treatment.
is special treatment, which is pretty organic in football, right? Like the best player in the team, and in his case, the best player in his generation, maybe across generations, is going to get some sort of special treatment. But here we are, like, Hazard at Chelsea was consistently, everybody said, all his teammates said, the worst trainer. But that never was held
special treatment.
But it's never held against it, because he knew what he delivered on a
and then he won
basis on the weekend, right? But here, what you're saying, if you're talking about special treatment, that has nothing to do with what's happening on the field, on the pitch. He isn't delivering. He isn't an important player. He isn't the player that is responsible for United's recent upturn in performances. So you're still codifying some sort of special treatment from which you're not really, as a manager, gaining anything.
But that's not the part that I'm calling special treatment. The part that I'm calling special treatment is because, like, listen, Fred had what people consider a terrible game the game before, but there's a belief of Ten Hag in Fred that Fred would do something in this game. And Ten Hag knows that Ronaldo is not 20-something, but he's like, shit, if I can give Fred a chance, I can give Ronaldo a chance, just that maybe not this game. So Ronaldo needs to do exactly what you said. He has to be careful not to destroy his legacy. I feel like those are legit fresh points about how Madrid fans are fickle, and this is where he should try not to destroy his reputation and what he means to the team. But the special treatment is like when he puts in his when he wants to leave right before the season starts and put the team in a bind, and they still keep him on the team and still try to work with him. That's special treatment. That's clearly to everybody. Like, no player, and even the fans were like, all right, we're gonna let this slide. But I think yesterday, I think there's special treatment from the fans. They're like, there's apologists that no player would they ever allow, fans or the United, allowed to put in a transfer thing, cause as much trouble he did at the beginning of the season, not come to preseason camp, and then still give him a chance. And that's where I think now the special treatment is about to end. Now he's been dropped from the roster for the Chelsea game. He's going to train for a week with the reserves, and then we'll see what happens after. And then one more thing, I think it was a piece of The Athletic where they said Ten Hag went to talk to Fletcher and Murtaugh, and they didn't want to suspend him for the game. And then finally Murtaugh gave in, and then Fletcher. And it's like, Fletcher, what are you doing? You expect, if Ten Hag doesn't win this,
but you have to remember, But you have to remember Fletcher's still in that WhatsApp group with Ronaldo.
But he's an idiot, though. He's like, this time to get out of it. You're not on that side of the pitch anymore.
Like the pre-Ferguson team is still on that WhatsApp group, and Fletcher's still on it. So yeah, that's what happens when you have your boss.
But that's why we're fucking up as a team. And Ten Hag is like, you're good. You got this outside person who has a bird's eye view and knows how to fix this thing. And also this issue, like if he survives this issue, this is the guy. It's extracurricular problems, but if he fixes this, and he has to also be careful because Ronaldo has really good friends on the team, people who idolize him, like Bruno and Delot and Anthony. Like you could tell that they're in a weird position where they're thriving and their idol is not, and maybe them thriving is hurting his chances of playing with them. So it's weird, but Ten Hag has to handle it.
I think Ten Hag's got this. Like he's won this already because he's got his way with the board with the suspension, and I can see now that he's also won the fans. Like the fans are now overwhelmingly backing Ten Hag over on this issue over Ronaldo, and that's pretty much all you need.
Yeah, but it's funny when even before this, I'm like, you know, you hear me on the show saying, "Oh, you got to play Marshall, you got to play Rashford." But when you listen to the pundits, like Tim Sherwood, man, it's like it's Ronaldo. You have to play Ronaldo. He's a goal scorer. He puts the ball in the back of the net. And it's like, somebody stop giving this guy work. Stop it. Like I never advocate for somebody to get fired. Like he should be fired more than Steven Gerrard should have been fired today. What are you saying, bro?
There's a reason why actual football clubs stopped giving Tim Sherwood work.
Apparently.
He's it's a weird situation, I think. Like I think it's different to the circumstance in the City game where they didn't want to throw him on in a game that was already dead. Whereas this one, there might have been a legitimate tactical reason for putting him on. Like, you know, if Spurs were going to maybe be a danger from set pieces, you might want Ronaldo on for his aerial ability, something like that. And like, you got to do your part as a team player to do what's asked of you. And personally, I think this is him attempting to engineer a move in January. I think people had almost seen him become comfortable with his role as a bit part player, as this sort of elder statesman. And I don't think he likes that. And I think he thinks, right, fuck, I need to, you know, this isn't me. I need to be the main man. I need to make sure I get out in January, not in the summer, when people now accept that this is what I do. Like, I think he's probably scared of being seen as that guy now. Right. And I think he wants to get out while he can and go be a big dog somewhere. I don't know where he's going to do that. I don't know who can afford to have him do that. But I think I think all this is him just pushing for January rather than the summer.
Yeah, when you not just walk down the tunnel, when you leave the stadium before the team comes into the green room, the dressing room, that's a major statement. So I think there's something on the BBC that said he just made it. I didn't get to read it. Neil, go ahead. I'll try to see if I can read this thing a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand also like why he would be wanting to make a move away, because the thing that stopped the move in summer was not United holding him. Nobody wanted him. Like literally, George Mendes was going around, giving out invitations to whoever across Europe would take Ronaldo, and there were clubs coming out with statements saying that we don't want Ronaldo. Tuchel literally was prepared to be sacked over that, and that happened. Like nobody wanted him. It wasn't like United would have probably taken a deal. The only realistic offers that came in were from Qatar or was it Oman or someplace like that, where they're giving him some, or Saudi, I guess, with some obscene salary. And he didn't want to go there because obviously he doesn't feel he's finished at this level. So I don't think he needs to do anything to force a move. The moment an offer comes which he likes, United will happily let him go, and they would have let him go in the summer too.
I'm going to read this. This is what Ronaldo posted. I'm a terrible reader, so it's going to come out bad. This is going to feel like I'm in class at school and they just called me to the board in front of the whole class. I don't know why I can't read in public, never could. As I've always done through my career, I try to live and play respectfully towards my colleagues, my adversaries, and my coaches. That hasn't changed. I haven't changed. And I'm the same person and the same professional that I've been for the last 20 years, playing elite football. And respect has always played a very important role in my decision-making process. I started very young. The older and more experienced players' examples were always very important to me. Therefore, later on, I've always tried to set the example myself for the youngsters that grew up in all the teams that I've represented. Unfortunately, that's not always possible, and sometimes the heat of the moment gets the best of us. Right now, I just feel that I have to keep working hard in Carrington, support my teammates, and be ready for everything in any given game. Giving in to the pressure is not an option. It never was. This is Manchester United, and united we must stand. Soon we'll all be together again. What do you all think of that? I like that.
Probably the right thing for him to say. I don't know whether he means that shit or.
I'm always ready to go back to the person who's abusing me. You know what I'm saying? They make a narcissistic apology. Let's go, baby.
That sounds like it was written by a PR firm.
But there's a lot of realness to it. So that's where they got me.
If he follows up on this, yeah.
Right.
But I like how he says, in the heat of moment, as if it was a one-off thing that just happened, as if we haven't seen almost every match day him sulking on the bench and him turning his back when he knows that he's not going to get subbed on. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not in the heat of the moment. This is the way there's a disconnect between what he thinks of his level as a footballer right now versus what his manager thinks. It's happened to a million footballers before. It's just that this time it's happening to one of the greatest footballers ever. So it's even tougher for him to take. And it's actually a new story that people have to keep talking about. Like, I mean, we have somebody who's writing books about why he feels that he should probably be on the pitch, not on the pitch. So, and that person hasn't even achieved 100.
Yeah. So if your guy can do that, Ronaldo should be able to leave at halftime.
Yeah, his book won't. It's just that his book won't be called My Story so far. It'll just be called My Story, because he's gotten someplace.
All right. So what do you guys think of Villa losing? Was it 2-0?
3-0.
3-0 to Fulham.
Yeah.
And Steven Gerrard getting fired. What's your reaction to Gerrard's firing?
I mean, I think it was on the cards. There were rumors going around on Monday night, I think it was, that he was potentially going to be getting the bullet, and they seemed like they were in a real negative spiral. The team just wasn't really playing with any sort of life. They were limping through games, either picking up a poor sort of draw here or there like they did against Forest, and then losing other games without really putting up a fight. Fulham's a team they should be, Fulham are impressive this season, but it's a game they should be at least competing in. So I think that was the final nail in his coffin. Hasn't really surprised me. We spoke in the chat as well about Michael Beale left, who is now top of the league in the Championship with QPR. So, and I heard that he was, the brains behind the operations at Rangers. So it would make sense that maybe Gerrard hasn't quite adapted to losing him. Be interesting, because I think obviously there was that grand plan of, Gerrard goes into Villa, he's impressive there for a few seasons, he waits for Klopp to move on from Liverpool, he moves in as the new Liverpool manager, all this in the next 2 to 3 years maybe, and I think that plan's been ripped up now. With this, he needs to go back to the drawing board, and because I don't know, it'll be interesting to see what his next move is, because I'm not sure there's many Premier League clubs who would take a punt on him now. Right. Someone might. So it'd be interesting to see what sort of level he falls at next. Not sure I'd want him at Southampton if we ended up with a vacancy. Not unless he can convince Beale to come with him again. But yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. It's interesting to see where Villa go as well, because Michael Beale is a candidate there. He's second in the running in the bookies odds. Pochettino's favourite, which I think is a strange one, because it's Villa perceive themselves as a big club, but they don't act like one. Right. They spent a little bit of money on players, but they're sort of a lower mid-table team still, in terms of the way they've been performing the last few years. So whether Pochettino feels like there's some potential there that he could go into, or whether he would hold on for a bigger job, remains to be seen. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Gerrard's next move is, interesting to see what their next move is, but I don't think it's much of a surprise that it's happened now. I think it was coming.
Yeah. What do you think, Neil?
I don't know. Maybe I'm a little biased because of the last game, but I actually don't feel I feel the results have been a little harsh on Villa compared to how they played. Like, they could have really, gotten the 3 points against us on the weekend. So, right. Also they have had a lot of injuries too. So, yeah, it's not been an ideal. It's not been an ideal set of situations for him, and maybe there is some truth to the fact that Michael Beale was he was the guy who he's with. Gerrard got him from the Liverpool academy, and then he was at Rangers and at Villa, and then he left, and things kind of started falling apart. So I feel like if this was any other, because they're still like, the table at this point, it's pointless looking at the table. I don't think people should be panicking much. So they're still, I think, a couple of positions above relegation, or maybe they're 17th, I think. And and the fact that so in terms of like results, maybe you can still live with it. I think what's happened is that the fans have completely lost faith. Like, you can't have one more 90 minutes of what happened today, with the entire Villa contingent singing every possible anti-Gerrard song you can think of. Like, they got the full cassette out. Like, it is unreal. Like, I was impressed how, because if that's your manager, you don't really know all these derogatory songs about him. Like, they had to literally call up their Chelsea friends, their Manchester United friends, their City friends, and ask, "Oh, hey, what's that song that you guys used to sing?"
They were rehearsals. They were choir rehearsals.
Yeah.
They were unison. They knew which song was next.
It was unreal. Like, and the hustle was strong. Like, they weren't prepared to let it go another game. I think Bournemouth, they're playing on the weekend. So they pretty much forced the club to pull the trigger. And that's pretty ruthless. Do you see the club statement? It was just, I think, 12 words or so.
Oh, damn.
From not even like, it doesn't even attribute it to somebody. It just says the club spokesman said. That it's also one of the coldest, just 1 hour after the game, some of the coldest sackings I've seen. So, but yeah, he has to go back to the drawing board. And I know Lee touched upon the fact that, the plan, the route from Rangers to Villa to Liverpool, it seemed like it was going perfect, and now it suddenly isn't. Maybe managers have a lot more time. Like, he can always come back, but it also shows, like, remember how, like, there was a lot of chat about how Lampard probably shouldn't have taken the Chelsea job when he did, because he wasn't ready for it. The thing is that as a manager, the profession is so cutthroat that you never really know if you'll ever get that opportunity again or not. Gerrard, if his life's managerial aim is to manage Liverpool, he might not get that opportunity again, or even though the trajectory looks so rosy even 6 to 8 months back. Or if he gets it, it might be another 10 years of hard work as a manager. So when you can't really plan,
which is fine.
You can't have the perfect plan.
Yeah. How old is Gerrard?
About 41, 42 or something.
41. So 10 years.
Yeah, he's early 40s.
Say again?
Yeah, he's early 40s, I think.
Yeah, he's got time to, like, learn how to be a coach and get there. Who knows where Liverpool will be 8-10 years from now? It's like, what is this rush to like go learn some shit, you know? Like, go learn some shit. Like there's fans reading books and trying to figure out what position it is. Like fans are like trying to like when people are calling in, like there's some calls that they shouldn't even take, but then there are some calls that be like, oh snap, all right. Like there's like some of these fan sites are recommending like books and all that stuff. Like you gotta learn some stuff, man. Like Ten Hag took like the long route, you know, to like a major club. He's like 52 and he's just, you know, before this Ajax and then I think somewhere else, but he was assisting all over the place for like some of the top people and learning all the things he needed to learn. And go learn some shit, man. You Gerrard, you're not afraid of hard work. If you want to do it, if you don't, and
and you're not dependent on a paycheck. You know, your mortgage is taken care of. You're not worried. You're not worried about your family. You can take your time, go do what you need to do to figure yourself out.
Yeah, do the work. Like I think, the plan can still be there. It just might take a different route and a different time frame now.
There's construction on the road, and you got to take the delay.
Yeah, like there's no, it's not saying he's a bad manager forever and he'll never come back from this. It's a setback, and it'll be, it'd be interesting to see what direction he goes in next.
What do you think, real quick, about how much time does Jesse Marsch have? Like, you just
I think he has a lot of
facial
time
expression.
because
you think so? Let me see where they're at in the table.
Basically, I think what has happened
today, the fans started that song thing, and that's the first time he's ever heard it. So today, the Leeds fans started singing the anti-Jesse Marsch song.
Oh, really? Oh,
snap. Yeah. So before all their
performances
were good. So today, they sang it during the game. And even to go back to the one thing Lloyd said before games ago, that he said he's a Villa fan. He said we just need some luck. We had a lot of bad luck, and today, man, more bad luck. Like the sending off, the penalty, and the sending off. Like the sending off was like, how does someone bump you, and then you bump them just as much as they bump you, and they're bigger than you? They crumple to the floor and hold their face. And you're a ref. Why did VAR even get into this? Why did VAR say, come look at this, number one, and recommend their card? And then why does a ref with experience walk over, look at that, and see that both guys bump each other evenly and have reffed a football game before and not know that the guy rolling around on the floor, his name is Mitrovic, and he's taken acting school in the European country that he's from. You're like, you should be familiar with people rolling around on the floor. I am. I would give them both a yellow and be like, stop it. You're wasting time. So, and then the handball also, you went and looked at that and felt like, where's your logic? Like on a play like that, that is a natural position for your arm. Like, how do you make that a penalty? It's just, come on, ref. But it all came into play and it didn't help Gerrard today.
But yeah, I think Marsch has got a little bit more time. They're on the same amount of points as Villa. But like you said, they're singing that song, which is, the fans seem like they're starting to turn on him. I think there was a lot of goodwill for him, given how they ended last season. He seemed like he was doing something there. But then they've not really got going this season. He got backed in the transfer market. He went out and signed some players. He signed the players that he wanted as well, the players that he asked for. So it's interesting. It's interesting hearing him speak after today's game, because he got questioned by the media why he didn't go over to the fans at the end. Normally the managers would go over to the away support and thank them for coming along, kind of thing. And he didn't do that. And he said he was like getting ready to go and prepare to speak to the team in the changing room, which is, it's a legitimate excuse. But it was interesting, a phrase that he used. He said he needs to find a way to stop the bleeding. And if you're describing your results as bleeding, then okay, yeah, shit's serious.
He has to, though.
Mm.
He has to. Because even Forest kind of did that their last 2 games. I think they got 2.
Drew with Villa, drew with Brighton.
Yeah, drew with Brighton, and they drew the one before. So then they, like the guys, he's like, all right, we're gonna stop playing this aggressive ass football against these grown ass teams, and let's get defensive with it.
Leeds' last 5 results, just quick. They lost 2-0 to Leicester, lost 1-0 to Arsenal, lost 2-1 to Palace, drew 0-0 with Villa, lost 5-2 to Brentford. Like, that's their last 5 games. That's 1 point in 5 games.
And 3-0 to Fulham today.
And just before that,
that was Villa, sorry.
They beat us 3-0 just before that.
Yeah. Well, beating you seems to spark a bad run for teams. We beat you and went on a terrible run.
No, I think we are like charity FC. Like, if are you struggling for points, come over here.
Hilarious. So I want Lee to talk about how he felt yesterday about Southampton winning, and then Neil, and then we'll just get out of here. How do you feel about Shea Adams and your 3 points? And
I mean, I'm happy we got the points. It was a horrible game to watch.
It was.
We weren't convincing with those 3 points. We started quite bright. We looked like we were trying to play on the front foot. We got the goal fairly early, which was a good thing, because it sort of gave us something to fight for. And I was sort of sitting there almost waiting for us to fuck it up, though, because that's what we've done in other games this season. When we've gone ahead, we've thrown it away afterwards, and we tried our best to throw it away. We were giving away free kicks we didn't need to give away. We were playing a bit kamikaze at times. Bournemouth never really looked like they created that many like huge chances. They had a couple where we got some good blocks on. They had a penalty shout as well against Salisu, which could be given, but also his arms weren't out, and it was from close range. So yeah, one of them. But I mean, I didn't think we were great. Like I say, we're the ones who put the ball in the net, so we get the win. But I don't think we played particularly great. But it's a local derby, and the result is what matters at the end of the day. So it's given Hassan Hutl some more time, because if he lost this one, I think he could have been gone. We'd have been in a real bad position down there. But 3 points changes the picture a little bit, buys him a bit of time.
Yeah, right. Remember we was talking at the last call, like how 3 points puts you up to 14. Before that, where were you?
We were
18
17
or 17? Yeah,
we were 17, I think. Yeah,
huge jump. Yeah.
Yeah, but we've got Arsenal next this weekend, so I don't think anyone's expecting 3 points there. We can play well against the big teams at home. We can pull that. We beat Arsenal at home last season, but this is a different Arsenal this season. But we can give teams a good game there. I think the fans will be happy as long as we compete in that game. If they roll us over 5 or 6-0, the pressure's back on him. But if we lose 2-1 to them or 2-0 or something, but we play well and we have some fight, then I don't think anyone will have any complaints there. So yeah, this week's kind of a gimme as long as we don't, get completely turned over. And then it's back to what he does in the next games. But he's bought himself some time for sure, because I think after Arsenal, we've got Palace, Newcastle, Liverpool, Brighton, which is a mixed run, because there's some games there we should be trying to get some points from, and some that are tough. So
Palace, Newcastle, right?
Yeah. If you want to be a Premier League team, you need to be getting something in those games. If we're not having ambitions of beating Palace, then we shouldn't be in the Premier League. Palace are a good team, but you should want to go and beat them.
Yeah. But it's just that those teams are playing kind of better than they normally play right now. But you could probably get something against Brighton and Hove. I think they're still.
Brighton and Newcastle were at home in both those games, so we should be trying to take some points from them.
All right.
If we want to stay in this league, we need to.
Yeah. I think you'll ultimately stay in the league, but not the way you like, the comfortable way you want it to be.
Yeah, and they'll be making me sweat, which is just our way.
And Neil, what do you think about your draw? Who did you draw against?
Brentford. The mighty Brentford away.
At Brentford?
I think it's time to we need to replace the Stoke on a cold Wednesday night to Brentford, because
they got the red and white stripes.
And like they seem to be that kind of team that away, they don't make it easy for you. And it was tough. Like we could have easily lost that game. We had Kepa to thank again. He saved. They were like two close range headers that he saved us from. One shot that was pretty difficult. And the clean sheet was all Kepa's doing. Up front, we made a whole lot of changes.
You ever hear yourself saying that?
Yeah, not after that season, no. So up front, we made a lot of changes, and that's something like, Potter, it's fine, like he's still early in his tenure at Chelsea. So I mean, it's okay that he's doing it at this stage. I don't really expect magic, but he made a lot of changes, but I somehow don't like the idea of benching both Sterling and Aubameyang together, because we could clearly see the lack of experience up top. Like it was Havertz and Mount. And even though we got into good positions, like that final instinct was missing. Broja I think he got his first debut and he did a lot to impress. Just short of like creating that goal, there was one hoof ball from Kovacic, which is going nowhere, and the defender was in front of him. And he somehow raced past the defender, got control of the ball. He actually had, like, if he had just looked up a little bit, there was Mount was free for a tap in, but he took the hard way around, still beat the other defender, and then got a cross in right across goal. Havertz and Mount both were a little slow to react. So, I was pretty impressed by Broja. But Havertz, I think, he's turning into that problem now. Like we don't really know what he does, and it's his third season. We still don't know what he does. What is his best position? His best attributes are. It feels like even as a player, like it's not just the stats. Even on performance, where he's kind of stagnated. So that's going to be a huge challenge for Graham Potter.
He's your on-field capper.
Yeah, it's not as bad as Kepa. Come on. You literally be having to, I don't know, like stop the ball from the goal line as somebody else is trying to score for us, for him to reach Kepa levels. But Pulisic, positive note, Pulisic came on, and Chukwuemeka came on. Both looked really good. Pulisic was good. I think it's actually better than some of his earlier cameos where he actually scored goals. He is really promising today, and hopefully that means that he's going to get a few more chances going forward. Chukwuemeka was very solid. He had a chance at the end to score, but there's a great block from the Brentford defender. Apart from that, Kovacic had his first good game in a while. He came as a sub. Gallagher started, but I think after 15 minutes, he didn't feel well. It wasn't an injury. He was just not feeling well, so he got subbed in. We're still trying to play with that, Loftus-Cheek and Cucurella on the two wing backs. Yeah, obviously, it's not ideal, but I think that's the best option we have right now. So, yeah, it was a scratchy game and scratchy performance. We could have easily lost, could have easily won, but so I think the draw was a fair result at the end.
All right, so this weekend, the marquee game, Chelsea versus Man United at Chelsea. What do you think?
I think it's two teams that are fairly even at this point. Like their managers are new, the teams also like in their cycle of rebuilding are pretty much at the same stage. Both have certain strong points, but they also have obvious weaknesses that can be got at. So yeah, we haven't seen Potter. Maybe Milan was a big game, but really we haven't seen him in a big game in the Premier League yet. I know Ten Hag's actually he's got a very good record. Like he beat Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham. I know he got hammered by City, but 3 out of 4 is not a bad record against the top
that's
6.
at home though. Now we're on the road against.
Yeah. Well, actually, United's kind of been a bogey team. We haven't beaten United in the league, home or away, for like 5 years now.
I mean,
and this is during the time when United had their worst team ever.
Whoa, bro. We finished above you all those times.
Not all those times.
Yeah, we did. We beat you for 4th one time, then we finished second, 3rd, and then 2nd. I don't know where you were. You beat us. You definitely beat us last year.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, we somehow, like, we've beaten City in this time. We've beaten Liverpool. We've beaten Tottenham a lot. We've beaten Arsenal. It's just United. We just not be. You'd think like at least in 5 years you'd be able to beat them once. We just haven't been able to beat. There were a lot of draws in those games. So I'm actually expecting another draw.
Listen, I'll take a point. Here's my word. A Man United team lost to a less potent Graham Potter team at the beginning of the season. So Graham Potter beat us with Brentford. Now, with Brighton Hove. Now, would you say who's the better team?
I think
Brighton Hove or Chelsea?
I think the individuals at Chelsea are better, but Brighton's a better team. Like Potter at Brighton is a better team because
the league position doesn't even support that argument that you're saying right now.
I mean, he's worked with those players for how many years now, right? Like they know exactly therapeutically how to play with his style of play. I think we are still like feeling our way through this. I probably have a better answer in about 6 months.
Right. Yeah, I think Brighton Hove. I think Chelsea's definitely better than Brighton Hove. And now you put the guy who beat us with a lesser team on paper. You give him a better team on paper, and he had tactics to beat us too. Like he did some very simple things that were super effective, and I don't like how he likes to like react to what his opponent is going to do. And we're on the road. Like we really thrive at home now. Like we're building this home fortress. We're going to be away from that. Hopefully traveling fans are vocal, but I'll take the point. I don't want to make this long. I want Lee to get to say what he's got to say. Then I gotta bounce. And I know you want to say something else. I'll let you close.
On this game? Yeah. On United Chelsea? Mm-hmm. I think it'd be an interesting one because obviously when you played Potter at Brighton, that was first game of the season, wasn't it?
Right.
So Ten Hag had sort of set out his stall at the start of the season, like he was going to play the Ajax way kind of thing. He was going to do this and that. He was very rigid in his philosophy. And I think Ten Hag's evolved since then as well. He's a bit more pragmatic now. He understands the Premier League. He can be a bit more adaptable in terms of how he sets up. So
he's actually less pragmatic now.
Well, not less pragmatic, but he's not as sort of fundamental with his, we need to pass from the back. And like the team still do it. You are doing it, but I think he's not doing it as naively as he was in those opening games. Right. There seems to be a bit more understanding there now. And like I say, it was early days. So I think Ten Hag seems more comfortable with his team, his selection, how he's going to ask them to play. Be interesting to see if he does try and outfox Potter and change anything, but you can't really change anything after a really good win like you've had. So I'm not really. It's a difficult one to predict, I think, because you guys are in better form now. Potter is a smart coach, but Chelsea aren't in sort of the best run. They're winning some games and they're looking a bit wobbly in some others, even some of the ones they're winning. So I'm going to sit firmly on the fence with a draw. I'm
sitting on the fence too. But I would also say we're wobbly too if you listen to the fans after the Newcastle draw, which I think was a good draw. But Neil, you were going to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say, to your point about Potter already beat you with Brighton and now he has better players.
Uh-huh.
Potter before yesterday had a 5 games, 5-win record over Thomas Frank with Swansea and Brighton comes to Chelsea for the first time, drops points against Thomas Frank.
I know what
Thomas
you're doing,
Frank he was putting the mind games on him before the game in that interview.
Oh yeah.
I know what you're doing, Neil. I know what you're doing. This is damage control, just in case you lose. You always do this. Like you'll play it downplay it, whatever it is, because you feel like emotionally you are not a vulnerable guy. You don't want to go out on no limb. You'd rather be reserved and then celebrate partially if you do succeed and get all 3 points. But this is
Martin hasn't really rubbed off on me as much. So
no, not at all.
I don't have that.
Also, just a quick shout out to Martin. Begrudgingly, a shout out to Martin. He is top of the fantasy league right now. He'd slipped down, but then he had Mitrovic tonight. He played the free hit though, so he got some extra players in.
What's the free hit?
Week. Free hit means you can change your whole team for 1 game week, and then after that game week finishes, it switches back to the team you had before. So it's like a free pass for the week.
I didn't even know that it existed.
Yeah, he played it because obviously there were teams like Arsenal and City who weren't playing.
Right.
But I decided to save my free hit because I want to save it later on in the season when there's a double game week, because that'll be when you can maximize the points. Because Martin played it and he only got 2 more points than me. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, credit to Martin. He's top of the league. I'll give him that. He's more adventurous with his fantasy game plan than Conte is with his real life game plan.
Who's second and third?
Second is Joachim Henriksen with Boca FC, and Hello You Conte is Garjan Lau in third. So that's a top 3. I'm in 9th. I moved up a couple of places. I had an okay week considering. Then we have, if we go all the way down, Neil's up to 32nd out of 34.
What?
He's climbing. He's catching you. You're in 29th, Ian.
I know.
So yeah, so that's a lot of season left still.
Let's kick the person who's last. Like let's kick
that's poor old Duda.
No, it's Joey Duda. Joey Duda's in last place.
Joey, man, this is embarrassing, bro. It's embarrassing.
He's got some alright players. They're just not doing it for him. Like he's got Salah in there. Salah hasn't been showing up that often. But yeah, no. Good luck, Joey. Get off the bottom.
Yeah. I'll give you a chance to catch me. You ain't taking it.
If I just go through the team names, then the amount of Liverpool fans we have playing the league with us is crazy. It's not.
Right.
So I know Joey is a Liverpool fan. Then there's LFC Champions 2023. Then there's Klopper Ganges. Then there's Dick Van Dyke.
How do you know he's a?
Oh yeah, he could be a hater too.
Yeah.
Then there's
what you call it? Go ahead.
Then there's Darwin's best friend, which I'm assuming is Darwin Nunez.
Who had a great game yesterday, like volleying, heading, just showing the range and how dangerous he could be. All action. Yeah, it's like watching a action movie. Yeah, I'm like, oh snap! All right, this guy's like he's ready.
He took his goal well. Could have had more. He's really good.
Hit the post. Can I just say something really childish? It's the Fulham. Who did Fulham play? No, who did Leeds? Oh, Leeds. So, like, I got to give it to the commentators because there's a guy, his name is spelled, a player on Leeds. His name is spelled, let me go to the Cock. And
Koch.
Koch. And 4, like he was responsible for the own goal. Own goal, Cock. Stopped by Cock. Pass to Cock. An attempted penetration by Cock. It's just like saying it as if they're not saying the actual word cock. and just keeping a straight face and broadcasting is kind of schoolboy and hilarious. And it's like, isn't there another way to pronounce those letters in that order?
We'll have to ask Martin because I think he's Polish. I think Cock's Polish.
I think Cock's Polish. Hilarious. But yeah.
So we'll have to check with Martin on that one.
Yeah,
Martin,
but yeah.
The cock expert, is that what you're going with?
Well,
all right, guys. We're gonna bounce. That's hilarious. I'm at Laugh Boston this weekend, Friday and Saturday. One show Friday. I think it's 7 p.m. and 2 shows Saturday, which is October 21st and 22nd. Do you guys have anything you want to promote before we bounce?
No, just follow me on social media, Lee Hudson Comedy.
All right, what you got, Neil?
Same here at Sawyer Slayer.
You got to say that again. I didn't even hear it.
Sawyer Slayer, Twitter and Instagram. Let's go.
And Twitter. It's a big secret, y'all. He's as confident about his handle as he is about Chelsea versus anybody. All right, y'all. Thanks.
Right.
Peace.
Thanks.
We out.
All right, guys. Quick. All right. 3,